Jesse, what was last year like for you kind of getting adjusted to living in this country and following the game and practicing every day? And how valuable was that year for you, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was awesome. So I guess coming to a different country, it took me a little bit of time to, adjust to, I guess, the time zone to start. Being jet lagged for a little bit was a bit annoying, but then once I started, practicing, learning off Paxton, getting to know all the boys and that sort of thing, it was made the transition pretty seamless after a while, to be honest. And coming into this season, it's put me in good stead to, I guess, take what I've learnt from last year and adapt it to scenarios that I'm being put in at training at the moment.
Adam, then Eric.
Kind of adding to that, since you've been here, what foods, what experiences, what things have you done now that would be completely unfamiliar to you before?
I'm probably eating a little bit unhealthier now, to be honest, than I was in Australia. But I mean, it's a completely different culture, like from people to, I guess, food. That was one of the biggest, to be honest. But we've obviously got a lot of variety down in Smokies here, which is huge for us. I mean, I've struggled to put on weight my whole life, so I'm probably never going to be the biggest guy. But some of these guys probably eat 5 times what I do, and it's pretty impressive, to be honest.
What food do you like here?
I'm going to say Cane's. I don't know if I should say that, but it's probably one of the best fast foods I've got here, and we don't have that in Australia, so I do dabble in that a little bit.
What did playing professionally at home kind of help prepare you for being in a game setting here in England?
Yeah, I mean, I was pro for 3 years, I guess, so I was put in scenarios which I'm going to be similar here with some fair crowds and stuff like that. I guess it's a different game now. I mean, last year I was watching games and thinking, like, what's that flag? The first time they threw a flag, I didn't know what it actually was. Stuff like that's going to be difficult, but I've sort of gathered knowledge on the sport a lot more now. But I guess being around professional coaches and that sort of thing made my transition here seamless. So I feel like I've got a great bond with a lot of the coaches in terms of like being more like friends rather than being so like looking up to them, which is good with my age as well.
Do you feel like you have a good handle on the game now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't really watch a lot of football growing up. When I first started speaking to Coach Eck, I started watching a bit more college football, learning about it, that sort of thing. And like last year, by the end of the year, I was knowing what was going on. It was awesome to watch and I guess observe.
Vince.
You mentioned learning and talking to coaches. Now, Cliff, take me through that timeline of learning about the University of Tennessee. I know there's obviously some kickers and punters from Australia that have done it before, but how did you sort of learn and when did that happen about the University of Tennessee?
I spoke to Coach Eck probably in October the year before I came over and just started getting the ball rolling, talking to him and I guess learning about the school. I mean, I got a lot of friends at other schools, one of my good mates at Iowa, one at Rutgers, that sort of thing. But just like learning from them and then actually looking at Tennessee and thinking like, this is legit and this is probably one of the biggest schools I could go to. I mean, we're working with Dustin Colquitt now, who's obviously was a great punter here and a great punter in the league for a while, so to learn off him has been super and a great tradition of punters here, which I can hopefully follow, and being the first Australian here is extra special.
Patrick, and then Eric again.
Jackson, you said you needed some time to kind of learn American college football. You tried to explain to any of your teammates Australian rules football and what you played. Have you shown them maybe your highlights and said this is what we did? Have anyone tried to learn what you played before you came here?
Yeah, I don't have too many highlights, so it's hard to show them that, but I've never seen, and from what I've heard from other guys, I've never seen so many blokes try and punt a football now. Like Joe's punting balls, Nico's punting balls. I'm like, they're trying to take my spot now, but everyone's kind of having a bit of fun with it, and I guess the style's a little bit different and stuff like that. But I have showed them some Australian football. They kind of watch it like absolutely no idea what's going on, which is fair enough. But it's a sport I love, and I've had a few late nights recently watching some games and stuff, like keeping it up with my mates back home. But it's awesome, yeah.
How long do you guys typically play professionally back home? And when did you know that coming to the United States, pursuing American football, is what you wanted to do?
I think the average career is around 5.5 years, so I was only 3 on the shorter end. I mean, some guys have 15-year careers and stuff like that, but obviously it takes a toll on your body. Towards like my end of my 3rd year, which was when COVID sort of started rattling the league and stuff like that, I kind of was looking at options because I kind of had an inkling that I might be let go of. And then my friend at Iowa sort of said, like, you got a great leg, you may as well come down to Pro Kick Australia and I mean, just have a kick and see what you think. And I did that, and sort of the ball started rolling, and they thought I was pretty handy, so I took it with both hands really and made the leap.
Last year's kicker Chase McGrath would mention that Josh Heupel sometimes would kind of like bump into him accidentally just to kind of test him a little bit. What kind of interactions have you had with Josh Heupel?
Yeah, he's been awesome. I was expecting someone a lot more like strict and stern and stuff, but he's like a player relationship guy as well, and feel really comfortable around him. He knows a fair bit about punt as well, and I mean, he's always bumping into Chuck when he's about to kick his field goals and I'm holding and I'm telling him to get lost and stuff like that. But in terms of punting wise, he's pretty quiet, to be honest. One of my good friends at Penn State's getting air horns in his ear and water sprayed in his face before punts and stuff like that. But yeah, Hype's got it good. He's looking after me.
Wes?
Jackson, it might be a big number here, but how many, Australian punters that are in America now would you say that you know or that you've connected with, or how, I mean, it's like a huge fraternity now, but how many guys would you say you know?
I mean, when I first started learning about, I guess, pro kick and that, I was always on Instagram, ESPN out looking at things, looking at stats. So I've got a good gauge on like pretty much every punter, I guess. There's I think over 50 in D1 from Pro Kick Australia, which is pretty impressive. And then I mean, I've got a group chat of six guys who we're really, really close with. Penn State, Rutgers, UCF, Iowa, and one that graduated from Temple. But it's cool that they're in like the Big Ten and different conferences. Where I mean, I'm in the best conference, which is cool to know. And but we sort of lean off each other and connect and stuff when we can't talk to people back home, stuff like that with the time zones.
Eric and Vince?
Sorry to put you on the spot if you don't know this, but for pro kick, there's a couple of kickers and punters in the league right now.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. Yeah, Michael Dixon, Cam Johnson, recently Aaron Sipos, who was punted for Philly. Probably missing a few more, but I think there's about 5 or 6, which is awesome. And I think there should be a couple more in the next few years, hopefully.
What's the longest punt that you know you've ever had, or the best punt?
Geez, that's a tough question. Off a roll, I could get a fair way, I think. But in terms of punting, I mean, I'm kicking as far as I can really and hoping for the best, which is I'm a bit probably less stiff and stuff as some of the other punters are with their technique. Mine's a bit more free flowing, I feel, and natural, which is good and bad, I guess, some stages. But yeah.
Jackson, two questions I'll ask separately. You rattled off several punters in college and the NFL from Australia. Why do you think Australia is importing so many guys that are doing so well punting?
Yeah. I guess the way we put it usually is Americans usually, I guess, throw footballs from a young age where we really kick them, punt them. So that's sort of ingrained in us as a young age. And I mean, I probably kick balls every day for close to 20 years. That's just why it's so natural for us and feel confident doing so. And I mean, I played a bit of tennis growing up, but mainly it was footy and Australian football, and I was just kicking ball after ball. And I guess some guys probably don't want to be punters when they're from America. They'd rather be running backs and stuff like that. But it's just an awesome opportunity for us and to take our, I guess, knowledge from kicking football and implementing it into a different sport over here.
Second one, not to get you homesick at all, but what do you miss most about Australia right now? It's probably people, to be honest. My family, I guess. That's always going to be a hard one. A lot of close friends back home as well, but the thing I always think of is if I go back home, everything's still the same, nothing changes. So I'm doing something here that not many people get to do, and it's an awesome opportunity, and get the chance to go home next month and spend a bit of time with them. It'll be in the winter, which is a bit annoying. I won't come back tan, but yeah, it's cool.
Do you have a question?
Do you get homesick when you go to Outback Steakhouse?
Outback Steakhouse has absolutely nothing to do with Australia. Their menu has like states' names on it and stuff like that, but it's like the Gold Coast burger, which is just irrelevant. So yeah, but I won't say anything else.
Before any sponsors get mad.